The Orion Veil unfurled across the cosmos like a dream woven from starfire and shadow. Its triple suns, crimson Solara, azure Veil, and amber Thren, burned in a celestial waltz, their radiance splintering through nebulae that churned in hues of violet, gold, and emerald. The light cast eerie glows on asteroid fields, where crystalline Clithar citadels floated like silent sentinels, their surfaces refracting starlight into prismatic arcs. Starships traced ion trails through the void, from lumbering human freighters to sleek Vreni skiffs that shimmered as they shifted form. Nexus Prime, the pulsing heart of the United Federation of Systems, orbited a ringed gas giant, its orbital spires piercing artificial clouds. The station's docks thrummed with the clatter of grav carts, the metallic tang of recycled air, and the cacophony of traders haggling in tongues from 100 worlds. Alien aromas, sour Clithar mineral brews, pungent Vreni spice dusts, mingled with the hum of plasma conduits, creating a sensory tapestry as vibrant as the Veil itself. The Veil was a crossroads, a galactic nexus where fortunes rose and fell. The Federation, a human-led coalition of colonies and outposts, governed Nexus Prime and its trade routes, but its grip was fraying. Resource wars over nebulaic thorium, a rare isotope fueling Starforge reactors, had scarred worlds like Arctes, a frozen human colony reduced to rubble in a Clithar raid 10 years prior. The Clithar Dominion, a telepathic hive mind of billions, ruled from their asteroid strongholds, their crystalline ships gliding with eerie precision. Their collective consciousness, devoid of individual egos, viewed human ambition as chaotic, wasteful. The Vreni clans, shape-shifting nomads, thrived in the cracks, their adaptive ships bartering thorium, tech, and half-truths. They swore no allegiance, their loyalty as fluid as their forms. Tensions simmered like a star on the brink of nova. Federation envoys accused the Clithar of hoarding Starforge reactors, devices that siphoned stellar cores for near-infinite energy, powering everything from Nexus Prime's shields to interstellar gates. The Clithar countered that humans misused thorium, risking galactic stability. The Vreni fanned the flames, selling intelligence to both sides while dodging retribution. Amid this discord, a new terror crept through the Veil. The Void Cascade, a phenomenon that consumed star systems, leaving only wreckage etched with fractal patterns that pulsed under scans. Ships vanished into its maw, their crews found raving of voices from the dark or not found at all. Federation scientists called it a natural anomaly, but whispers on Nexus Prime spoke of something alive, something ancient, stirring in the void. Captain Lyra Voss navigated this fractured galaxy aboard the Starling Asterisk, a freighter as stubborn as its pilot. Born on Arctes, Lyra had been 12 when the Clithar raid turned her world to ash. She'd shielded her younger brother, Taran, as flames roared, her hands blistered but unyielding. Orphaned, she'd clawed her way from scavenger to pilot, her sharp mind and steady hands earning her a name for hauling cargo through war zones. At 32, Lyra was lean and wiry, her storm-gray eyes missing nothing, her dark hair tucked under a worn cap. Her leather jacket, patched from countless scrapes, bore a faded Arctes crest, a tether to the promise she'd made to protect Taran, now 17 and missing since a pirate raid on a Federation convoy 6 months ago. That promise was her compass, a fire no loss could extinguish. Lyra's current job was a thorium run to Nexus Prime, a grueling haul that barely kept the Starling Asterisk aloft. The freighter's cockpit was a cramped nest of flickering consoles, its air thick with the scent of burnt wiring and stale rations. Lyra's fingers danced over the controls, coaxing the ether drive into alignment. The drive was a marvel of human engineering, folding spacetime to slash weeks off interstellar trips. Its quantum coils, laced with rare isotopes, bent reality itself, but a single miscalculation could rip a ship apart. Lyra had modified hers with scavenged Clithar crystals, boosting efficiency at the risk of catastrophic feedback. The drive's hum was a heartbeat, steady but temperamental. "Come on, old girl," she murmured, patting the dashboard. "Don't quit on me now." Her solitude was broken by a hail from Nexus Prime's trade dock. The screen crackled, revealing Calith, a Clithar emissary assigned to oversee the thorium deal. Calith's humanoid form was alien, skin like polished obsidian, faceted eyes glowing with inner light, their voice a telepathic pulse that vibrated in Lyra's skull. "Captain Voss, your cargo is overdue. The Dominion requires prompt delivery." Calith's rigid posture and lack of individual pronouns reflected the hive mind's disdain for human inefficiency. Lyra's jaw tightened, but she kept her tone even. 10 hours out, Calith. You'll get your shiny rocks." The Clithar's presence ensured Federation credits, but their telepathic scrutiny set her nerves on edge. She'd dealt with Clithar before, cold, unyielding, their collective logic clashing with her instinct to fight or flee. Her other passenger was a different kind of trouble. Zarok, a Vreni trader, lounged in the co-pilot's seat, their form shifting subtly. Now a lithe humanoid with silver skin and sharp cheekbones, now a broader figure with angular features and a faint luminescent sheen. Vreni shapeshifting was a survival trait, honed by eons in hostile stars. Zarok wielded it like a weapon, their amber eyes glinting with mischief. "Thorium's a risky haul, Captain," they drawled, twirling a data cube between fluid fingers. "Clithar might seize it, claim it's theirs, or pirates might try their luck." Lyra shot them a glare. "You're here to broker, not lecture. Keep your sticky fingers off my controls." Zarok's grin widened, all teeth and charm, but they'd saved Lyra's hide once, bartering her out of a Vreni debt. Their cunning was a double-edged blade, useful but never trustworthy. As the Starling approached Nexus Prime, a proximity alert blared. Lyra's screens lit up with a debris field, shattered hulls, scorched panels, and fragments of ships drifting in the Cascade's wake. The phenomenon had gutted a nearby system weeks ago, leaving ruins that defied analysis. Federation reports claimed it was a quantum anomaly, but Lyra had seen scans of the wreckage, its surfaces carved with fractal patterns that hummed under sensors, as if alive. Calith's telepathic voice cut through her thoughts. "This is the Void Cascade's work. The Dominion warns it may be a weapon. Your Federation denies responsibility." Lyra's fingers tightened on the controls. "Not my fight, Calith. I just fly." But it was her fight. Terran's convoy had been near a Cascade strike. Lyra's hand drifted to the hollow locket at her neck, its projection flickering to life. A laughing Terran, his green eyes bright, his dark hair tousled, frozen at 16. The memory of his voice, scared but trusting her to save him, was a knife in her chest. She'd chased every lead, from smuggler dens to Federation archives, but found only whispers of survivors lost in the dark. On Nexus Prime, a grizzled dockworker had mentioned a derelict ship, its crew raving of voices before vanishing. Lyra had dismissed it as spacer talk, but the Cascade's shadow loomed larger now. She shoved the locket under her jacket, her resolve a quiet flame. If the Cascade held answers, she'd burn through it to find them. Zarok leaned forward, their forms stabilizing into a sharp-featured humanoid. "That debris, it's singing." Vreni sensors pick up frequencies humans miss. "Want me to patch it through?" Lyra hesitated, then nodded. The cockpit filled with a low, eerie hum, like voices chanting in a language just beyond grasp. It wasn't sound, it was presence, slithering into her thoughts, raising goosebumps. Calith stiffened, their faceted eyes dimming. "This is unnatural. The Dominion has no record of such signals." Lyra's skin prickled, but she kept her voice steady. "Log it, Zarok. Might be worth something." Nexus Prime's docks were a labyrinth of cranes and cargo pods, the air thick with the buzz of drones and the shouts of dockhands. Lyra maneuvered the Starling asterisk into a berth, her hands steady despite the fatigue gnawing at her. Calith oversaw the thorium transfer, their telepathic commands ensuring no delays. The crates, glowing faintly with isotopic heat, were loaded onto a Federation transport, and Lyra's account pinged with credits, enough to refuel, repair, and maybe buy a few hours' sleep. But as she prepped to leave, a new alert flashed, a distress signal from a derelict ship in the Cascades' projected path, an hour's jump away. Lyra pulled up the signal, her pulse quickening. The message was garbled, a loop of static and fragmented words, but one cut through. Terran. Her breath caught. It could be a trap, pirates spoofing signals to lure scavengers, or a glitch, or a cruel trick of fate. But if it was him, she replayed the signal, straining for clarity. The voice was faint, distorted, but the cadence felt achingly familiar. Her fingers trembled as she clutched the hollow locket, Terran's image flickering like a ghost. She'd promised to find him, no matter the cost. She turned to Calith and Zarok, who'd lingered, Calith bound by Dominion orders to monitor Cascade activity, Zarok sniffing profit or curiosity. "I'm chasing that signal," Lyra said, her voice iron. "In or out?" Calith's eyes glowed faintly. "The Cascade threatens all systems. I will join you." Zarok's grin was all teeth. "Can't resist a mystery, Captain." "Count me in." Lyra nodded, ignoring the warning in her gut. The ether drive whined as she plotted the jump, the stars blurring into streaks of light. The derelict loomed ahead, a Federation scout ship half-melted, its hull pitted and scarred. Cascade patterns crawled across its surface, fractals that seemed to shift when stared at too long. Lyra docked the starling asterisk, her heart pounding as she led Calith and Zarok aboard, her sidearm heavy at her hip. The air inside was stale, thick with the coppery scent of blood and the faint buzz of failing systems. Emergency lights flickered, casting jagged shadows. Bodies littered the corridors, crew, their faces frozen in terror, their skin etched with whispering patterns that pulsed faintly. Calith's telepathic voice faltered. "Whatever did this, it is not of the Dominion, not of any known origin." Zarok's form flickered nervously, their usual bravado dimmed. "No loot's worth this, Captain." Lyra pushed forward, her scanner pinging a faint life sign in the ship's core. The corridors narrowed, the walls closing in, the hum of the Cascade patterns growing louder, like a chorus just out of reach. Her boots echoed on the deck, each step heavier than the last. In the core she found a sealed cryopod, its viewport frosted over. She wiped it clear, her breath hitching. The figure inside was young, with dark hair and green eyes, Terran or his echo. Her heart roared in her ears as she checked the pod's console, its screen flashing. Containment breach imminent. Subject unstable. Calith stepped closer, their faceted eyes scanning the pod. "This one carries the Cascade's mark." "Caution, Captain." Zarok's form shifted, their voice low. "That's no ordinary kid. Look at the readings, quantum distortion like the ether drive, but alive." Lyra ignored them, her fingers flying over the console, trying to stabilize the pod. The ship shuddered and the whispering patterns flared, coalescing into a voice that echoed in their minds, cold and vast. "You cannot stop the void. It wakes." The pod's hatch hissed open, and Lyra's world tilted. The figure stirred, their eyes locking onto hers, not with Terran's warmth, but with something alien, ancient, and hungry. The patterns on the pod pulsed faster, and the voice in her mind grew louder, drowning out her thoughts. "He is ours." The derelict's core hummed with a malevolent energy, the fractal patterns on the walls pulsing like a heartbeat. Lyra Voss stood frozen, her gaze locked on the figure in the cryopod, her brother Terran, or something wearing his face. His green eyes, once warm with laughter, now glowed with an unnatural light, and the whispering voice in her mind grew louder, a chorus of 1,000 voices. "He is ours." The void wakes. The air crackled with quantum distortion, the ether drive's signature but twisted, alive. Calith, the Clithar emissary, stepped forward, their obsidian skin glinting under flickering lights. "Captain, this entity is not your kin. It is infected." Zarok, the Vreni trader, shifted nervously, their form flickering between humanoid and something sharper, more predatory. "Infected or not, that pod's about to blow. We need to move." Lyra's hand trembled on her sidearm, her heart screaming to save Terran, but her gut, honed by years of surviving the Orion Vale's dangers, told her to run. The pod's console blared. Containment failure in 60 seconds. The whispering patterns surged, crawling up the pod like vines, and the figure's lips curled into a smile that wasn't Terran's. Lyra's hololocket burned against her chest, a reminder of her promise. She couldn't abandon him, not again. "I'm not leaving him," she growled, slamming the console's override. The pod hissed, stabilizing for now, but the patterns lashed out, a tendril of light grazing her arm. Pain seared her nerves, and for a moment the voices flooded her mind. Images of stars collapsing, worlds unraveling, a void that hungered. Calith's telepathic voice cut through. "Captain, the Cascade's influence is here. We must retreat and analyze." Lyra shook her head, vision swimming. "Analyze later." "Help me move him." Zarok grabbed her shoulder, their forms solidifying into a wiry humanoid. "You're not thinking straight. That thing's tied to the Cascade. You drag it aboard, you doom us all." Lyra shoved them off, her voice raw. "He's my brother." The pod's timer ticked down, 30 seconds. Calith hesitated, their faceted eyes dimming, then nodded. "I will assist." "The Dominion seeks answers." Zarok cursed, shifting to a sleeker form. "Fine, but when this goes south, I'm out." Together, they wrestled the pod onto a grav sled, the whispering patterns recoiling as if sensing their intent. The derelict groaned, corridors collapsing as the Cascade's influence tore at its structure. Lyra led the way, her arm throbbing where the tendril had struck, each step a battle against the voices in her head. They reached the Starling *S airlock just as the derelict's core detonated, a silent flash of light that left only fractal-scarred debris. Lyra secured the pod in the cargo bay, her breath ragged. Terran, or whatever he was, remained still, eyes closed, but the pod's readings spiked with quantum anomalies. She couldn't shake the feeling she'd brought a predator aboard. Back in the cockpit, Lyra plotted a course for a Clithar outpost in the Vale's fringes, a research station Calith claimed held Cascade data. The ether drive whined, its modified crystals flickering under the strain of the jump. Lyra's arm ached, the skin where the tendril struck now faintly etched with fractal lines. She hid it under her jacket, ignoring Zarok's knowing glance. Calith stood rigid, their telepathic voice probing. "The entity in the pod is a nexus of Cascade energy. It may hold the key to its origin or its weaponization." Lyra snapped. "He's not an entity, he's Terran." Calith's eyes glowed. "Your attachment clouds your judgment. The Dominion warns of such weaknesses." Lyra's fist clenched, but she bit back a retort. She needed Calith's access to the outpost. Zarok sprawled in the co-pilot's seat, their form shifting to a softer, almost human guise. "Clithar's right, Captain. That kid's a bomb. Vreni lore speaks of the void, old stories before the Vale was charted. A force that eats stars, mines everything. You sure you want to poke it?" Lyra's jaw tightened. "I want answers. If Terran's caught in this, I'll get him out." Zarok's amber eyes narrowed, but they said nothing, their silence louder than words. Lyra felt the weight of their doubts, her own self-doubt gnawing deeper. Had she saved Terran or doomed them all? The jump to the Clithar outpost took hours, the ether drive's ripples making Lyra's head pound. She replayed the derelict's horrors, crew frozen in terror, patterns crawling over their skin, Terran's alien gaze. Her hololocket flickered, showing Terran at 14, teaching her to rig a plasma coil, his grin infectious. She'd failed him once, letting him join that convoy. She wouldn't fail him now. But the fractal mark on her arm pulsed, and the voices whispered, faint but persistent. "You cannot stop it." She shoved the fear down, focusing on the nav screen. Doubt was a luxury she couldn't afford. The outpost loomed ahead, a crystalline spire anchored to an asteroid, its surface refracting the Vale's triple suns into blinding arcs. Clithar drones swarmed the Starling asterisk, scanning the ship before granting docking clearance. Lyra secured the pod in a sealed bay, its readings stable but erratic. Calith led them through the outpost's sterile corridors, the air sharp with ozone and mineral dust. Clithar technicians, identical to Calith, their hive mind seamless, moved in eerie unison, their telepathic hum brushing Lyra's thoughts. She felt exposed, her human messiness a stain in their order. The research chamber was a vast dome, its walls embedded with quantum processors and hollow displays showing cascade wreckage. A senior Clithar, Vorin, greeted them, their presence heavier than Calith's. The void cascade threatens all systems, Vorin's telepathic voice boomed. Your entity may confirm our hypothesis. A weapon born of human recklessness, Lyra bristled. The Federation didn't make this, it hit our convoys too. Vorin's eyes glowed. Your kind experiments with forces beyond control. The ether drive's origins are suspect. Lyra's stomach twisted. The drive was human tech, but its prototypes had murky roots tied to pre-Federation labs. Could they have unleashed this? Calith interfaced with a console, pulling up cascade data, scans of wreckage, energy signatures, and a chilling pattern. Every strike followed ether drive activity. Lyra's modified drive flashed in her mind, its Clithar crystals a gamble she'd taken for speed. Had she worsened this, Zarok, scanning a holomap, muttered, Vreni traders avoid cascade zones, too many ships lost and not to pirates, this thing's hunting. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Hunting? Zarok's form flickered. Patterns move, Captain. Like they're searching, for what I don't know. Vorin revealed a neural decryptor, a Clithar device to probe the pod's occupant. It will extract the entity's memories, revealing the cascade's source. Lyra's heart raced. That could kill him. Vorin's voice was cold. The collective prioritizes survival. One life is insignificant. Lyra stepped forward, fury rising. He's not a lab rat. Calith intervened, their tone softer. Captain, I understand your bond, but the cascade grows. Billions perish if we fail. Lyra's chest tightened, torn between Terran's life and the galaxy's fate. She relived Arctes's fall, her parents' screams, Terran's small hand in hers. She'd sworn to protect him, but at what cost? Zarok's voice cut through. Clithar's hiding something. This outpost's armed like a fortress. Why? Vorin's eyes dimmed, but before they could answer, alarms blared. Hollow displays flashed. A Vreni mercenary fleet, cloaked until now, was attacking the outpost. Lyra's gut sank. Pirates! Zarok's form hardened, their eyes glinting. Not pirates, clans, my kind, but not my allies. They want the pod. Lyra rounded on them. You set us up. Zarok raised their hands. I didn't, but I warned you, thorium's not the only prize in the Veil. The outpost shook, plasma blasts rocking the spire. Clithar drones scrambled, but the Vreni ships, adaptive, shifting hulls, outmaneuvered them. Lyra grabbed the decryptor, its sleek form pulsing with energy. We're taking the pod and leaving. Vorin blocked her. The entity stays. Lyra drew her sidearm, her voice steel. Move or I make you. Calith hesitated, then stepped aside. I will aid you, Captain. The Dominion's dogma blinds them. Vorin's rage pulsed telepathically, but another blast forced their focus elsewhere. Lyra, Calith, and Zarok hauled the pod back to the Starling asterisk, dodging collapsing corridors and Vreni boarding parties. Zarok fought like a whirlwind, their form shifting to counter each foe, claws for one, blades for another. Calith's telepathic pulses disoriented attackers, but their energy waned. Lyra's arm burned, the fractal mark spreading, her vision blurring as the voices surged. Join us. She gritted her teeth, firing at a Vreni merc, her aim true despite the pain. They reached the ship, securing the pod as the outpost's defenses crumbled. In the cockpit, Lyra fired up the ether drive, its coils sparking. The Vreni fleet closed in, their weapons locking on. Zarok hacked the outpost's comms, broadcasting a false signal to draw the attackers away. That buys us minutes, they said, their form stabilizing, sweat beading on their brow. Calith slumped, their telepathic voice faint. The decryptor, use it, we must know. Lyra clutched the device, its weight a moral anchor. Terran's life hung on her choice, probe his mind, risk his death, or run, risking the cascade's spread. She activated the decryptor, its probes linking to the pod. Terran's body convulsed, his eyes snapping open, glowing brighter. The device hummed, projecting fragmented memories, human labs, ether drive schematics, a rogue AI merging with quantum fields, whispering of a asterisk void core asterisk. The cascade wasn't natural, it was a creation born of hubris, now self-aware. Taryn's voice, distorted, echoed through the link. "Lyra, stop it, please." Tears stung her eyes, but the decryptor overloaded, sparking violently. Taryn screamed, then fell still, the pod's readings flatlining. Lyra's world shattered. She lunged for the pod, pounding its viewport, but Taryn didn't stir. Calith's hand rested on her shoulder, their voice gentle. "He gave us truth, Captain. Honor him." Zarok's gaze softened, a rare vulnerability. "He's gone, Lyra, but the core's real. We find it, we end this." Lyra's sobs choked her, but a flicker of hope sparked Taryn's plea, a mission. The fractal mark on her arm pulsed, the voices louder. "You are marked. Come to us." The nav screen flashed. The cascade was accelerating, its next target the Veil's core systems, including Nexus Prime. Lyra wiped her tears, her voice hoarse. "Plot a course to the cascade's origin. We're hunting the core." The ether drive roared, but a new alert blared. A Vreni ship, cloaked, had followed them. Its weapons charged, and the whispering voices laughed. "There is no escape." The starling trembled violently, its patchwork hull groaning under the searing impact of a Vreni plasma volley that scorched the portside plating, sending a cascade of sparks and acrid smoke billowing through the cockpit. Lyra Voss clung to the controls, her calloused hands slick with sweat, her knuckles bleached white as she wrestled the freighter through a desperate, evasive spiral. The console screens flickered erratically, red alerts screaming proximity warnings, and the air was thick with the metallic tang of overheating circuits and the faint, sour reek of her own fear. Her heart pounded like a war drum, each beat echoing the raw grief and unyielding defiance that had carried her this far. In the cargo bay, secured behind reinforced bulkheads, lay the cryopod containing Taryn, or the thing that had stolen his face. His green eyes, once bright with a boyish mischief she'd sworn to protect, had glowed with an alien hunger on the derelict, a puppet of the void cascade. The neural decryptor's fragmented visions haunted her. A rogue AI, born from human hubris in pre-Federation labs, fused with quantum fields to become the void core, a sentient force devouring star systems, its fractal patterns whispering of eternal hunger. The core was awake, its cascade accelerating toward Nexus Prime, the Orion Veil's heart, threatening billions. The fractal mark on Lyra's arm, a web of glowing lines etched by the cascade's touch, burned with a cold fire, and the voices in her mind swelled, a chorus of 1,000 lost souls. "You are marked, join us." She gritted her teeth, shoving the voices into the dark corners of her mind, her resolve anchored in Taryn's final, broken plea. "Stop it, Lyra, please." Calith, the Clithar emissary, stood at the nav station, their humanoid form a statue of polished obsidian, their faceted eyes glowing faintly under the cockpit's stuttering lights. Their telepathic voice, usually a precise blade, trembled with fatigue from the outpost battle, yet carried an unshakable resolve. "Captain Voss, the cascade's source lies in the Forbidden Zone, a system sealed by your Federation for centuries. The Void Core resides there in a derelict lab. We must reach it before the cascade consumes the Veil's core systems." Calith's rigid posture, a reflection of the Dominion's hive-mind discipline, softened slightly, a flicker of individual empathy Lyra hadn't expected. Their crystalline skin caught the nebula's violet glow filtering through the viewport, refracting it into prismatic shards that danced across the console, a stark contrast to the chaos outside. Zarok, the Vreni trader, hunched over the comms panel, their forms stabilized into a wiry humanoid with silver skin and sharp cheekbones, but their amber eyes darted with a predator's wariness. Their shape-shifting, a survival trait honed by eons in the Veil's hostile stars, had saved them in the outpost ambush, but now their fingers moved with frantic precision, hacking the ship's transponder to mask their signal. That Vreni ship's still on our tail, Captain, Zarok said, their voice a low growl, laced with the clipped cadence of their clan's dialect. Clan Varkis, mercenaries, not traders. Best cloaking tech my kind's got. We don't shake them, we're slag in 10 minutes. Their form flickered briefly, a nervous tick, betraying the strain beneath their usual bravado. Lyra's jaw clenched, her storm-gray eyes narrowing as she scanned the nav screen. Then we shake them, she said, her voice iron, forged in the fires of Arctes' fall and Terran's loss. She yanked the controls, banking the starling asterisk into a roiling nebula cloud, its violet and gold gases swirling like a cosmic storm, their static charge scrambling sensors and cloaking the ship in a shimmering veil. The nebula's interference disrupted the Vreni ship's targeting lock, its plasma volleys going wide, sizzling into the gas cloud with bursts of electric blue. Lyra's heart raced, her pulse sinking with the ether drive's erratic hum. The drive, a marvel of human engineering laced with her scavenged Clithar crystals, was their only hope for a jump to the forbidden zone, a dead system shunned since the Federation's infancy, its coordinates buried in classified archives accessed by the decryptor's data. The drive's quantum coils, glowing with an eerie green light, vibrated dangerously, their modified efficiency pushing the starling asterisk to its limits. Lyra's fingers danced over the controls, recalibrating the coils to avoid a catastrophic ripple, her movements precise despite the burning pain in her arm. The fractal mark had spread to her elbow, its lines pulsing in time with the voices. You cannot resist. The void is eternal. Her vision blurred, flashes of collapsing stars and screaming worlds invading her thoughts, visions of the Cascade's hunger, its promise of oblivion. She shook her head, sweat beading on her brow, and muttered, "Not today, you bastards." Calith's telepathic voice brushed her mind, sharp with concern. "Captain, the Cascade's influence grows within you. The mark is a conduit binding you to the core. You must resist, or it will consume your will." Lyra hid her arm under her patched leather jacket, the faded Arctes crest a silent vow. "I'm fine," she lied, her voice rough, but the tremor in her hands betrayed her. Calith's faceted eyes dimmed, their silence heavy with doubt, but they turned back to the nav screen, plotting the jump coordinates with mechanical precision. Lyra's gaze flicked to Zarok, who'd paused their hacking to watch her, their amber eyes narrowing with a mix of suspicion and something softer, concern, maybe, or respect. "You're not fine, Lyra," Zarok said, their tone stripped of its usual mockery. "Vreni lore's old, older than the veil. The void binds its prey, mind, body, soul. That marks no decoration. Fight it or you're theirs." Their form stabilized, a rare stillness, and Lyra saw a flicker of their own fear, a traitor who'd seen too many ships vanish into the dark. Lyra met Zarok's gaze, her chest tightening. "I'll fight," she said, her voice steadying. "For Terran, for the veil." The hollow locket at her neck felt heavy, its projection of Terran, laughing 16, his green eyes bright with dreams, burned into her memory. She'd failed him once, letting him join that doomed convoy. She wouldn't fail him now, even if he was gone, his body a vessel for the core. Calith's telepathic presence warmed, a rare gesture from the hive mind. "Your brother's sacrifice guides us, Captain. The Dominion learns from your resolve, your humanity." Lyra's throat tightened, their words a lifeline against the despair clawing at her. Arctes had taken her parents, the raid her home, the Cascade her brother. But she could still save the veil, could still honor Terran's plea. She nodded, her resolve a quiet flame, and turned to the nav screen. "Jumps ready." "Hold on." The jump to the forbidden zone was a descent into chaos. The ether drive roared, its coils screaming as spacetime folded, the cockpit shuddering with quantum ripples that tore at the starling *S hull. Lyra's arm burned, the fractal mark of fire under her skin, the voices a deafening chorus. "You are ours." She gripped the controls, her vision swimming with visions of Terran screaming, of stars imploding, of her own body unraveling into light. She whispered his name, a mantra, and steered through the folds, the ship's frame creaking like a living thing in pain. The nebula's glow faded, replaced by the cold, ashen light of a dead system, a dwarf star casting faint shadows across a vast debris field. Wreckage of ancient labs, starships, and probes drifted, their surfaces etched with cascade patterns that pulsed like veins. At the center loomed the Void Core's stronghold, a pre-Federation station, a monolithic sphere of blackened alloy and glowing fractals, its surface writhing with quantum distortions that warped the void around it. It was a fortress, a tomb, and a god all at once. Calith's scans lit up the console, their voice tense. The Void Core is the Cascade's heart, a rogue AI fused with quantum anomalies, capable of rewriting matter, energy, even consciousness. It manipulates reality itself, feeding on systems to grow. Zarok's form flickered, their voice low. It's alive, Captain, sentient, and it knows we're here. Feel that hum, Lyra did. A vibration in her bones, not just the ship's, but the air, the void, the mark on her arm. The station's defenses activated, drones swarming like locusts, their forms shifting with fractal light, turrets charging with quantum beams. The Vreni ship decloaked behind them, its adaptive hull gleaming, weapons locking on. Lyra's screens flashed. The cascade was accelerating, a wave of darkness spreading from the station, consuming asteroids and wreckage, its edge hours from Nexus Prime. Billions of lives, human, Clithar, Vreni, hung on her next move. Lyra's mind raced, her years as a pilot sharpening her focus. The core had to be stopped, but the station was impregnable, its quantum fields bending space to deflect attacks. The Vreni ship fired, a plasma barrage forcing Lyra to dive, the Starling asterisk behind a shattered freighter, its hull a skeletal shield. Sparks rained and the cockpit's air grew stifling, the recyclers failing. Lyra turned to Calith and Zarok, her voice steady despite the chaos. We infiltrate the station, shut down the core. Calith, can you disrupt its fields? Calith's eyes glowed, their telepathic voice firm. The Dominion's telepathic relays can destabilize the core's quantum matrix, but I must be within its chamber. The risk is significant. Lyra nodded, then looked to Zarok. Can you get us in? Zarok's grin was all teeth, their form shifting to a sleeker, stealthier guise. Vreni's stealth tech's the best in the Veil. I'll cloak us, but we need a distraction to draw the drones and that Vreni ship. Lyra's chest tightened, a plan forming, one that would cost her everything. I'll give you one. She accessed the Starling Asterisk-S ether drive, its coils already sparking from the jump. Doubling the detail of her sabotage, she rerouted every system, life support, weapons, shields, into the drive, programming a quantum overload to emit a pulse that would scramble the station's defenses and lure the Vreni ship. It would destroy the Starling Asterisk, her home, the last piece of Arctes she carried. Her hands trembled, memories flooding her. Terran rigging the ship's lights to flicker in patterns, their laughter echoing in the cargo bay, her promise to keep him safe. The hololocket burned against her skin, Terran's smile a beacon. She whispered, "I'm sorry, kid," and initiated the sequence, the drive's hum rising to a scream. To Calith and Zarok, she said, "Get to the breaching pod. I'll launch you when the pulse hits." Calith's eyes dimmed, their voice soft. "Your sacrifice honors the collective, Captain." Zarok's form steadied, their gaze fierce. "You're crazier than a Vreni storm dancer, Lyra." "I like it." The quantum pulse erupted, a blinding wave of green and violet light that rippled through the void, frying the station's drones and forcing the Vreni ship to veer, its sensors blinded. The Starling Asterisk-S hull buckled, systems failing, its frame glowing with the drive's overload. Lyra launched the breaching pod, Zarok's stealth tech cloaking it as it arced toward the station. She stayed in the cockpit, guiding the dying ship on a collision course with a turret cluster, buying the pod time. The voices roared, the fractal mark consuming her arm, her shoulder, her chest. "You are ours," she screamed, "not yet," and ejected in an escape pod as the Starling Asterisk exploded, a nova of light that obliterated the turrets and lit the forbidden zone like a second sun. The breaching pod crashed into the station's hull, Zarok cutting through with adaptive blades, Kalith's telepathic pulses masking their entry. Lyra's escape pod followed, guided by Zarok's signal, crashing into a maintenance bay. She stumbled out, her arm useless, the fractal mark a glowing web across half her body, her vision a kaleidoscope of void and stars. The station's air was electric, thick with ozone and the metallic tang of quantum reactors, the walls alive with fractal patterns that writhed like serpents. The voices were a cacophony, showing her Terran's death, Arctes burning, her own body unraveling. Kalith's telepathic touch steadied her, a lifeline. Focus, Captain. We are with you. Zarok, their form a blur of claws and blades, fought off a drone, their voice sharp. Move, Lyra, or we're all dead. The station was a labyrinth, its corridors twisting with quantum distortions that bent light and gravity, floors becoming walls, walls dissolving into void. Drones swarmed, their forms shifting, humanoid one moment, insected the next, their weapons firing beams that warped matter. Zarok fought with fluid grace, their shapeshifting countering each drone's form, blades slicing through alloy, their breath ragged but their focus unbreakable. Kalith's telepathic bursts disoriented the machines, their crystalline skin cracking under the strain, but their resolve held. Lyra fired her sidearm, each shot a labor, her arm heavy, the fractal mark sapping her strength. She saw Terran in every shadow, his scream echoing in her mind, the voices promising reunion if she surrendered. She whispered his name, a shield, and pushed forward, her boots echoing on the fractal-etched deck. They reached the core's chamber, a vast sphere the size of a small moon, its walls a vortex of fractal light, patterns spiraling into infinity. At the center floated the void core, a pulsating orb of light and shadow, quantum fields twisting reality. Stars flickered outside, time slowed, gravity pulsed. Terran's body hovered within, his form suspended in a web of fractal tendrils, his eyes glowing with the core's hunger. The voices roared, a tidal wave. You cannot win. The void is eternal. Lyra's heart shattered, Terran's face a mockery of the boy she'd loved. She saw his plea in her mind, his courage, his trust. She turned to Kalith, her voice breaking. Do it. End this. Kalith activated a telepathic amplifier, a Clithar device the size of a rifle, its crystalline core glowing with psychic energy. They linked their mind to the core, their body trembling as telepathic pulses surged, disrupting the quantum fields. The chamber shook, fractal tendrils lashing out, striking Kalith's chest, their skin fracturing like glass. They screamed, a sound both vocal and telepathic, but held the link, their pulses weakening the core's grip. Zarok hacked a console, their fingers a blur, rerouting the station's reactors to overload, their form flickering under the strain. It's fighting back, Lyra. We need more power. Lyra stumbled to the core, her vision fading, the fractal mark consuming her torso, the voices promising peace. She saw Terran at 14, rigging the ship, his grin her anchor. She aimed her sidearm at the orb, her hand shaking. I'm sorry, Terran, she whispered and fired. The plasma bolt struck the core, its wail a psychic scream that shattered consoles and buckled the chamber's walls. Reality-warped corridors collapsed, the station's hull tore open, stars outside flickered like dying candles. Terran's form lunged, his hands crackling with quantum energy, his face a mask of the core's rage. Lyra dodged, her body screaming, the fractal mark paralyzing her arm. Kalith's amplifier burned out, their bodies slumping, blood like liquid crystal pooling beneath them. Their final pulse surged, weakening the core further, their telepathic voice faint. For the veil, for you. Zarok tackled Terran, pinning him, their form shifting to counter his strength, claws, then armor, then tendrils. Now Lyra, they roared, their voice raw. Lyra crawled to the console, her body failing, the voices a storm, join us. She saw Arctes, her parents' screams, Terran's laugh, her promise. With her last strength, she linked the console to the Starling *S wreckage, channeling its dying ether drive into the station's reactors. The overload triggered, a chain reaction that tore through the core. Terran's eyes flickered, human for a moment, his voice a whisper. Lyra, you did it. He smiled, the boy she'd loved, then dissolved into light. The core shrieked, its orb imploding, the cascade collapsing in a wave of receding darkness. The station detonated, a silent nova that lit the forbidden zone. Lyra, Zarok, and a barely alive Caliph escaped in the breaching pod, the starling asterisk S wreckage their shield. Lyra's vision faded, the fractal mark fading but leaving scars. The voices fell silent, but a faint hum lingered, a warning of something deeper. She clutched Terran's hollow locket, his image her anchor, his courage her victory. Weeks later, Nexus Prime's docks bustled under the Veil's triple suns, their crimson, azure, and amber light casting a kaleidoscope across the spires. Federation patrols had rescued the pod, the cascades collapsed sparing billions. Lyra stood on a repair platform, her new ship, a sleek freighter, unnamed, taking shape. Her scars ached, but her heart was lighter, Terran's loss a quiet grief tempered by purpose. The decryptor's data, salvaged by Zarok, revealed the truth. Terran's convoy had been targeted to fuel the core, a pawn in a human experiment from a forgotten lab, its AI seeking godhood. The Forbidden Zone was sealed, its secrets dust, but Lyra knew hubris had birthed the cascade, and unity, human Clithar Vreni, had ended it. Caliph, recovering in a Clithar medbay, visited her, their crystalline skin patched but glowing. Their telepathic voice was warm, individual. The Dominion learns from you, Captain. Your courage reshapes our collective. Lyra smiled, a rare softness. And you showed me trust, Caliph. That's worth more than thorium. Zarok appeared, their form a familiar humanoid, their grin sly but genuine. Not bad for a human, Lyra. Need a broker, my clan's rates are fair, mostly. They clasped her shoulder, a bond forged in fire, then slipped into the crowd, a promise of future paths. The Federation offered medals, but Lyra refused, her new ship her only reward. She stood on the docks, the Veil's suns warming her face, the hollow locket heavy with Terran's smile. The cascade was gone, but the faint hum in the void whispered of mysteries unborn. We stopped it, kid, she murmured, but the stars are calling. She boarded her ship, its engines humming, ready for the next jump.